What if I told you that there were hidden cash machines inside of every storage facility that most people completely overlook, and you could be walking into one of them on your very first deal or your next deal? Now, I bought a storage facility about 2.5 years ago with 90% seller financing, and several of the units were completely worthless. They had things in there, the owner wasn't generating any revenue. In fact, one of them was a 5x5 unit that had an old Coke machine that wasn't even working. The other was a 10x10 that had an old, dusty commercial ice machine, no rent, no income, completely dead space. Well, I cleared them out. I added a door to the 5x5 unit, took out the Coke machine, and now both of these units are generating real monthly income and have added tens of thousands of dollars in value to the storage facility, all because of one thing that I'm going to share with you in this video: forced appreciation. Now, I'm going to show you exactly how I did it, the math behind the value bump, and how you can spot these hidden profit centers even if you've never done a storage deal. I'm also going to share with you all the different profit centers with a storage facility so that you can generate more revenue, maximize the overall value of the facility, generate cash flow, build wealth, and live free. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. Now, like I mentioned, this particular facility came because I sent a direct mail campaign out, and the owner contacted us, and he was somebody who lived out of state. Really, really nice gentleman. They weren't really treating it like a business. They hadn't raised rates at this facility in a number of years. And so when we were able to buy this facility on 90% seller financing, in other words, he became the bank and all we had to do was come with 10% down, we were able to go in there and effectively double the rates from day one. So with that being said, I want to actually now show you the unit. I want to show you the Coke unit. I want to show you the ice vending machine so that you can see when you look at storage facilities, your job is to uncover value, right? Most storage facilities have value where the owner isn't fully maximizing it. And this is a perfect example of that. So as you can see here in this particular, now this is at the very entrance of the facility. Now there's something called dynamic pricing, right? So units at the beginning towards the front of the facility, oftentimes are going to be a little bit more valuable. You can generate more income. So this was at the very beginning. In fact, these are the first 2-3 units when you drive in to the left. Now, as you can see, the owner had an old Coke machine that, according to him, wasn't really generating any revenue. In fact, when we were on site, I don't even think it worked. And this is almost a 5x5 space. And one of the things that my partner and I did when we walked this facility is we're always putting on our money goggles. And money goggles essentially is like, where is the hidden value? How can we maximize every square foot of the facility to generate more revenue? And immediately we saw this as an opportunity. And now, granted, vending machines can be a profit center in a storage facility, but not to occupy almost a 5 foot by 5 foot space. In fact, when we looked at our competitors, we noticed that many of our competitors were at full capacity on some of the smaller units, which told us that there was demand for storage in this area for smaller units. So one of the things we discussed was, hey, what can we get? Let's just go ahead and sell the vending machine, and then let's put up a door, let's paint the door, and now let's put this unit online to rent. Now, a little bit later on in this video, I'm actually going to show you the math. I'm going to show you how much revenue this unit has generated. And the revenue that the unit generates isn't what's exciting. It's the multiple, the exponential value that revenue has on the overall value of the facility. And I'm going to break down that math in this video. Now, before I keep going, my name is Alex Pardo. I have been an active full-time real estate investor and entrepreneur for nearly 20 years. And for the last 5 years, I've really focused on the self-storage asset class because I truly believe it is the best asset class that combines the best of both worlds: the benefits of real estate with an actual business. And so one of the things we're going to talk about in this video is forced appreciation, right? So let's keep going because there's a lot that I want to uncover here. Now take a look. Here's a picture of the unit from the other side of the street, as you can see here. So this is an actual climate controlled unit. And then we have regular 10x10 units here, some 10x5s. And you can see that this was just dead space here, essentially. The Coke machine didn't work, it wasn't generating any revenue. And then here is from the front of the facility. Now, this is when we first bought the facility. We have since done many, many improvements to it, which you're about to see. But check it out. Now, these are post pictures after we painted the doors. We added some brand new siding. So this right here, where you see this orange door, this is where the Coke machine was. And now this is a 5x5 that has been rented for a while. And before it wasn't generating any revenue. So again, what I really want you to think about is when you are evaluating storage deals, look for where the hidden profit centers are. Is there extra land that you could generate more revenue because of parking? Or maybe you decide that you want to partner with U-Haul, get a percentage of the revenue and have them rent out trucks. That's not something that I have done, but that is an option and something that sometimes storage operators look to do. Or if there's demand for storage in the market, could you add something called box walls, which essentially are portable storage units? Maybe you want to build additional units. So there's always different things that you can do, but you really have to have those money goggles on and learn to uncover where these opportunities are. That's one of the things that we talk about within our Storage Wins coaching community. But let me go ahead and keep on and move on here. So now here it is. Here's the Coke unit, what I refer to it as, which is this all the way to the front. You can see this is the very entrance. So this is the second unit that people see when they drive into the left. Before, it was an old dusty Coke unit that didn't work. Now it's an actual unit that people can rent. And as you can see, we have painted the doors. We've pressure washed the roof, or soft wash, I should say. And there's a lot of things that we've done. And what's actually really cool is that when we first rented this unit, I believe we were charging $44, $39 or $44. We came in super low. And here is a recent letter of a rental rate increase. We were at $59, and now, as of 5/25, now that unit is going up to $65 a month. Now, think about how many Cokes we would have. First of all, we would have had to fix the machine. How many Cokes we'd have to sell at $1 a pop? We'd have to sell 65 Cokes, right? Just to sell, just to generate the same revenue and rent. And of course, we have to buy the Coke. We have to buy the inventory. And then there's maintenance on the machine. And so it just didn't make any sense. We turned a 5x5 space that wasn't generating any revenue into revenue. And that's what you want to do here. Now, where it really gets exciting for us is there was a 10x10 unit towards when you first drive in on the right-hand side, the very last unit of building number 2 for us. There was a 10x10 that was being used pretty much, as you can see here, for the owner's storage and an old commercial ice machine that wasn't even being used. And this unit was constantly open. They had never generated any revenue here. At one point, they tried to sell ice, but I don't think that proved to be too profitable for them. So as we were walking the facility, that's another thing that we said. It's, hey, how many units is the owner occupying? And in fact, I think they were occupying 3 or 4 that weren't generating any revenue. And we saw those as an immediate impact. Let's clean those out. Let's put those units online so that we can start making money on these units, because one of the most expensive things in storage is a vacant unit. A vacant unit is a unit that's not generating any revenue. It's just sitting there. And so your job is to take the empty space, put it online so that you can rent it as quickly as possible, start generating revenue, increase the net operating income of the facility, which is what determines the value of the facility. And we'll talk about that here in a bit. Now, as you can see here, this is the entrance of the facility. And then you have the ice machine unit, as we call it, that wasn't generating any revenue. It was constantly open. It's just sitting there, dead space, doing nothing. And so this is what what it looks like today, right? We painted all the doors. Now this is a 10x10 unit that has generated a lot of revenue for us. And I want to kind of just jump right into that. So right over here, I put together, I went inside of our Store Edge software, and I just essentially did a download of the revenue that the Coke machine, the ice machine, and then combined that it's generated. And it's pretty modest. So the revenue isn't what's super exciting. One of the things that has become more popular in this market are the larger units. And initially, when we bought the facility, like I said, we doubled the rates and we actually got really aggressive. So We bought that facility late 2022, and it wasn't until May that we started generating revenue on that unit. That's right next to 43, so we just added a plate. We called it Unit 43B. And as you can see here, this is the revenue that's been generating. This was a promotion, which is why you see $1, and then it jumped to $49. So that's actually where we started at $49. So this was a promo rate. As you can see, we generate some insurance revenue, and we have a 70-30 split with our insurance provider. So we get 70% of this revenue. We pay them 30% of the revenue. $25 administrative fee when they move in. There's a convenience fee. There's certain, as I mentioned earlier, there's different profit centers within the storage business, which is one of the things I love, because all those profit centers trickle down to the bottom line, which is the net income, the net operating income the asset produces. And that is what determines the value of these storage facilities, not comparable sales like we look at in the residential world. So anyways, in 2023, a modest $345. I'll explain what these numbers are, but essentially if we were looking at the added value to the facility as a result of renting that unit at an 8% cap rate, which I'll explain that formula here in a second, it added about $4,300 in value to the facility, which is great because all we did was added a door that cost us maybe $150. We painted it. So we were probably all in for less than $200, plus a little bit of labor. Let's call it $250. And now we've added an additional $4,300 in value to the facility. In 2024, generated a bit less. And then here we are as of May 25th. $245 in revenue is what it's added. So again, modest $3,000 to $4,000 increase in value, all for adding a door, painting a door, and that is on one unit. That is on one unit. So we've added an extra $3,000 to $4,000 in value just in one single unit by adding a door and painting a door. Now, here is the ice machine revenue, right? 2022, $183, $724 in 2023. 625 in 24, and then so far in 2025 we're at 317. Now combined, here's what we're looking at. Now's when I'm going to start to explain what a cap rate is. A cap rate, sometimes people get confused by a cap rate, which is basically short for a capitalization rate. Let me break it down in layman's terms because I don't like to use the industry jargon and all this stuff. It's essentially an expression of value, right? So it is, the way that I would explain it is, what is the return that you would get, right, on your money if you were to buy this storage facility for all cash? Now, you're going to apply a different cap rate, essentially a different percentage based on the market that you're in. Amelia Island is a very, very affluent market, right? The household median income is well over six figures. So in applying an 8 cap is actually very conservative and super modest. Most of the properties, most of the assets in this market trade, essentially sell between a 6 cap and a 7 cap, right? The lower the cap rate, the higher the value of the facility. The higher the cap rate, the lower the value. So it's an inverse relationship. So if we were going to take a very modest 8% cap rate on this market, which again, the storage facilities and the commercial assets in this market do not sell or trade, what they call trade, at an 8 cap. They're usually between a 6 and a 7 cap, even in today's market. It would combined value somewhere between $2,200 back in 22 all the way to 25, an extra $7,000 in value, right? Now, if we were going to look at a 7 cap, now we're talking, $15,000 in value it added in 2023. I believe that we'll be probably closer to $20,000 in added value just in those 2 units by the end of 2025. So you can start to see how important it is to look at storage facilities from the lens of how can we uncover the value in these facilities? Where can we add additional profit centers? Now, just to give you a quick rundown of some of the different profit centers within storage is obviously you have the rental revenue, right? You're renting the space, you're renting the units. You have parking revenue. Sometimes if there's additional land, people will choose to partner with U-Haul, and U-Haul has a program where they essentially put their U-Haul box trucks on site. They're essentially like using your land. Sometimes they'll put in a U-Haul employee. You do not have to manage these people, and you get a certain percentage of the revenue generated from the U-Haul rentals. And I think it's 30%. I've chosen not to go down that path. I have some friends that have done it. But if you have additional land and you don't have plans to expand or build or add any storage, you can look into U-Haul's partner program. We talked about parking. You can put box wells, which essentially are portable storage units. And again, that only makes sense if there is demand for storage in a particular market. And then you have all the different, you have tenant protection, right? And you can partner with these programs, and the splits are usually 50-50 all the way to 70-30 in your favor, maybe even a little higher. And so when somebody rents a unit, they might pay $13 per month per unit for tenant protection, which essentially means the contents of the contents of the unit are protected up to a certain amount. I believe it's $2,000. And you get a percentage of that $13 a month. Now, $13 a month might not sound exciting to you, but that's $13 a month per unit per month. Now, all that additional revenue just trickles down to the bottom line because you don't really have any associated expenses with it. Then you have admin fees, right? When somebody moves into a unit, you can charge them a $10 to $25 admin fee if you choose. You have lock fees, so if somebody is late on their payment, they get a charge a late fee, and then they have to put the Da Vinci lock, which is the overlock that we put on the unit so that they cannot access their contents. They have to drop that off in our lockbox. And if they don't put that in there and there's a particular serial number that's assigned to their unit, then we charge them a lock fee. And then there's other fees. There's like I said, late fees, admin fees, lock fees. You have, in some cases, it might make sense to offer 24/7 gate access to your facility. And you could charge $10 to $20 a month in 24/7 access gate fees. Now, I'll caution you, you want to make sure that you're in a really good market if you're going to do that. I did that on my very first storage facility, which was in a rough area, and it just invited more nefarious activity that you don't want to deal with. So it wasn't worth the extra revenue that we were generating. I think we were charging $10 a month for 24/7 access, but then we had all types of activity at 2, 3, 4 in the morning, break-ins. It just wasn't worth it. Now, we actually offer that at Emilia because it's a great market. We don't have those types of issues. And so you got to be mindful. You don't necessarily have to take advantage of every single potential profit center if it doesn't make sense. You get to evaluate that. But the point is that in commercial real estate and specifically with storage, there's something called forced appreciation. Forced appreciation means that we can have a direct impact on the overall value of the facility based upon all these different profit centers, right? If I wanted to go in there and add vending, which is, let's say I wanted to let's say I missed my Coke unit and my ice machine unit, and I had some space that wasn't occupying a unit. And I had some space and I wanted to put that, let's say in an office somewhere, or let's say just outside the office. Well, I could add a vending machine there. And now that vending machine should generate some revenue, and that revenue now is going to increase the value of the facility. I have just forced the appreciation, which is something that's very difficult to do with single family. With single family, there's only but so many profit centers, right? Well, in storage, like I just outlined, you have all these different profit centers you can take advantage of to increase the value of the facility, and essentially just you build your net worth that way as well. You generate more cash flow, and you can build your net worth. So let me know in the comments below. Here's my invitation to you. Couple different things. Number one, if you are not subscribed to the channel, make sure that you subscribe. Hit the like button, drop a comment below. I want to engage with you more. If you have any questions about anything I've covered in this video or in prior videos, I'd love to interact with you. So just drop a comment below. In fact, if you drop a comment, I will share with you a valuable resource, 100% free, just my gift to you for engaging with my content. And then if you want to learn how you can force appreciation, how you can uncover the hidden profit centers, there's going to be a link in the description below where you can book a call. We can have a conversation and talk about how we can help you buy your first storage facility or maybe even your next storage facility. And so either way, I appreciate you watching this video. Make sure that you check out one of the videos that usually pops up around here. because if you like this one, I'm pretty confident you're going to love those. Have a great one. I'll see you on the next one.